The function key setup gives access to two menus, options and setups. Let's check out options first. It has the subpages, hardware diagnosis, display, device mode and clock. Subpage hardware diagnosis has the following entries. Remap keys allows to assign 21 different functions or actions to the 4 function keys on the unit and on the remote, or the remote only. Configuration is done via the following 4 entries. Volume, I/O, EQ, setup. Available functions and actions are setup 1 to 9, mono to left, mute, loudness, EQ enable, bass and treble enable, EQ plus bass, treble and loudness, toggle phones line out, polarity, auto dark, dim, and toggle top screen view. The original function of the key, namely entering the menu, is still available by pushing the key at the unit for half a second. Next entry is test results. This is for internal use only. Software version shows the current version number and date of the internal DSP software. The subpage display, available by turning encoder 2 when the marker is in the top position, has the following entries. Display mode changes between the white default scheme and a dark scheme that inverts the white background and black numbers text in all menus. The meter color can be set to be green or a more blue tone. This option changes the color of the meter screens for both PCM and DSD mode. The auto dark mode automatically turns off all LEDs and the display after 10 seconds of user inactivity. A key press, turning an encoder or operating the remote control will temporarily activate LEDs and display again. Using the remote, dark mode starts and restarts already after 3 seconds. The LCD brightness is adjustable from 20% to 100%. Default is 80%. Unfortunately, the LCD's basic color can vary over a wide range, from yellow to blue. LCD tint control offers compensation for the display's color deviation as well as suiting the user's taste. It is adjustable from -8, which adds a yellow tone, to 8, which adds a blue tone. Just set it as you like. The next subpage in the options menu is device mode. Mute line controls the muting of front and rear outputs. Available options are off, versus phones, and toggle phones line. Default is versus phones, which means that as soon as a phone is plugged into the phone's or IEM output, the rear line output will be muted. A very popular option is to manually switch between front and rear outputs, which allows to have the phones or IEM connected all the time. To change, use the option toggle phones line and push the volume knob for half a second. This function can also be controlled by one of the 4 function keys or the remote control via the remap function keys method. DSD direct line. When activated, a DSD playback will use DSD direct mode over the rear outputs 1 and 2. As DSD direct bypasses all DSP calculations and volume control, the only way to change the output volume is by setting different reference levels. Therefore, in DSD direct mode, outputs phones and IEM are disabled. DSD filter. When DSD direct mode is active, high-frequency noise filters help to reduce such noise, which is quite high in level and might have negative impact on other equipment. While 50 kHz is optimized for DSD64 and 150 kHz for DSD 128 and 256, the user can freely try both at any DSD rate. DSD detection allows to deactivate the automatic DSD detection on SPDIF and USB. Specific PCM test signals can cause a false detection. Switching the automatic detection off easily fixes this issue in such a case. The last subpage of options is clock and has the following entries. Clock source shows the current clock source, internal, optical, or SPDIF coaxial. The clock source is automatically determined and set by the unit. A selection is neither possible nor necessary. With USB, the internal clock is used. With SPDIF, the external one. Sample rate is also automatically determined and set by the unit. With USB, the current sample rate of record playback is set internally. With SPDIF, the sample rate of the SPDIF signal, optical or SPDIF coaxial. The unit's internal clock supports 44.1, 48, 88.2, 96, 176.4, 192, 352.8, 384, 705.6 and 768 kHz. Let's change to the second and last menu of this video, Setups, which has just one subpage, Load Store All Settings. This option allows to save the whole state of the unit as a setup in one of 9 memory slots. The EQ presets are not included. They are stored separately and are available for all setups. But the current state of the EQ is stored within the setup. Setup Select. Choices are loading memory slots 1 to 9 and factory, which loads the factory default of all settings plus storing the current setup on any of the 9 memory slots. Start. Pressing and holding encoder 2 for at least 1 second triggers the selected action, load or store. Special tip: returning to the factory state. In case a total reset is desired, hold encoder 1 and the volume key pushed while turning on the unit. This will reset all current settings to factory default. User-stored setups and EQ presets are not affected. To even delete these from the unit, hold encoder 1 and 2 and the volume key pushed while turning on the unit.